As a Jari general, I always hear young soldiers talk about the humans. A peaceful species which don't go to war with anyone. They don't send diplomats, not even trade with other species. They don't bother anyone, and in exchange expect to not be bothered. They are nestled in their respective galactic neighborhood, colonizing uninhabited planets and terraforming others. They keep to themselves and only aid to themselves, yet they are still the most respected species in the whole of the Galactic Union. I don't get it. They don't do anything, yet we're to respect them? I overheard a young soldier say to his friend. You probably shouldn't say that. I heard they are the first ones to achieve FTL travel, his friend whispered. Your friend is right, you know, I said, sitting next to them. General Koble, they both yelped. I chuckled. You shouldn't talk about humans in a negative light. It's true that they mostly don't engage, but they do help when reached out to. Let me tell you a story. I sipped my drink, as the two youngsters pointed their ears to me eagerly. I chuckled and started to recall my first encounter with the humans. It was my first time as the head pilot of a battleship. We were at war with the Chians, a vicious species who like to conquer worlds. They were the most feared race in the whole universe at that point. Hungry for battle, always equipped with the biggest and most destructive weaponry. Our little battalion, consisting of 600 ships, had no chance of even making a dent in their thousands. They decided our then small empire, consisting of only our own solar system and a few neighbours, at the edge of the Galactic Union, was easy grabs for them. And we were. We sent distress signals, calls for help to the Union, only to be met with silence. I don't blame them. Risking so much for such a small and insignificant empire against such a foe wouldn't be smart. We didn't have much to offer. As a last-ditch effort, as our fleets were thinned down to only 30 ships, we sent out a signal to the whole of the universe, hoping for someone to answer. Thankfully, as I was sure it was the end of us, an answer came through. The translation was harsh, but we could make out that help was on the way from humans. Not even a few seconds later, about 10 ships showed up. I was disappointed then. 10 ships to aid us? Was the respect the humans had from all the high-ranking officers and generals just an inside joke? 10 ships. I was getting mad, but didn't voice my anger. They came to help when no one else would. And help they did. They ordered us to stay back as their ships launched at the enemy. The highly advanced and destructive weapons of the Chians were making no damage to the human ship's shields, barely grazing them, bouncing off, as if they weren't just blasted with the force of hundreds of bombs. I heard a human voice come through the speaker of my ship. Well, guys, seems like we were vastly overprepared, huh? I heard what could be considered laughter. Laughter? Overprepared? They must have been joking. The translator must have been wrong. No way they were saying this. Well, step back, guys. I've got this, I heard a softer, more higher voice say. I checked over and over, but the basic premise of the translation seemed to be correct. Step back. I have got this. Was this human really taking thousands of Chin ships on their own? I watched as the other 9 ships retreated back, and I heard cheers coming from the speaker as a single missile was shot. A single missile? Were they playing games with us? Giving us false hope in a sick and twisted suicide play? I soon learned what they meant by being overprepared. As the missile reached the middle of their fleets, it exploded with a bright light. I couldn't see it for a few seconds. When the light went away, all that was left of the enemy was nothing. There was nothing there. I was shocked. How could this be? All of them gone? I asked for the humans to come along to our planet, so we can thank them personally and honor their aid. It took convincing, but they agreed. Soon, we were landing at our home. After a lot of ceremonies, I was able to have a one-on-one conversation with one of their commanders. By the voice, I could hear it was the one who fired the missile. Hello. My name is Koble. I was the one who kept pestering you about coming here, I started shyly. I was hoping to establish a friendly atmosphere. It seemed to work, as the human woman, as I came to know, chuckled. Zoe Marley, nice to meet you, Kobold, she smiled. I have a question. What was it that you fired at the Chians? I asked, fumbling with my feathers. She sipped her drink. Well, it was an antimatter bomb with an anti-antimatter quantum field, which is really not a positive matter field, she chuckled. The joke went over my head. Perhaps it was the translators they had. Well, anyways, the bomb obviously lets out antimatter which consumes everything it touches within seconds. And after that, the anti-antimatter quantum field is discharged, which erases all antimatter from the area of effect of the bomb. It's all complicated quantum mechanics stuff, which I don't completely understand. I mean, that's what the scientists are for, right? She chuckled again. I chuckled as well, not fully grasping what she said. Antimatter bombs aren't a new thing in the Galactic Union, but they are only small area bombs. Too big of an explosion, and it would consume everything. And here humans found a way to make it bigger and contain it. Better yet, find a way to erase it. Antimatter bombs always leave a contaminated field, if too big. That's when I understood why they were so respected. If anyone went to war with them, they would be wiped off the face of the universe. I have another question, if it's all right, I asked shyly. Fire away, she said, looking at me. Is it true you were the first ones to achieve FTL travel? She shook her head. No, but we were the first ones to do so and survive. Well, at least according to historical records. Millions of years ago, when we first set out for the stars, we were still grappling with the question of why we weren't seeing any other signs of life. Even with the light speed being so slow, we should have at least seen some. Yet there weren't any. There were a few theories, and the worst one was true. There was something killing advanced enough species. And, long story short, we killed them. Hungry for power species, probably one of the first to space travel. They were devouring any planet that got to a space travel level of science. My eyes were wide and my feathers were fluttering. You killed them. Why don't you tell this to the universe, or remind everyone often? I was surprised they don't bask in the glory of basically making a galactic union possible. She just chuckled. Important figures know. People know to not bother us, and that's all we need. We aid when needed, but fame is not what we want. We want respect and to be left alone, and that's what we have. Maybe someday in the future, humans will get out of their ass and join forces, but we learn to only trust ourselves. She sipped her drink. Even to this day, I still remember that conversation. And the reason they don't teach this in schools, because they don't want us to. If they wanted to, they could rule the whole universe.